Alrighty. Well, thanks for including me here, Chrissy. I appreciate it.
I don't know what's going on. I've tried to add you as a co-host so many times.
All right. Okay. Well, let's just. Can you pin a link at the top? What do we want to? What do we want to pin a link to? Want to pin a link to the book?
Yeah, let's do it.
On Amazon. We'll get that going. All right. Let's see. Oh, okay. We are live. All right. Well, welcome. Welcome to Passive Prospecting, YouTube for Real Estate. And it's funny, we're talking about live streaming today. So I decided to go live on YouTube and in Facebook at the same time while we're live on Clubhouse as well. So these are ways to take advantage of, opportunities. And I would say that, a lot of people don't do this. I was actually in a mastermind call this morning, was talking with some agents, and I know that they were, a lot of agents struggle with content, and especially like where to start. Now, I want to preface by the fact that saying, look, I absolutely believe that getting started on one platform and mastering that platform is really, in my opinion, one of the best ways to go about that, because just like what we've done on YouTube, focused 100% on YouTube, learning everything we possibly could, and still learning to this day. Actually, I just discovered something completely new as I was looking at one of my videos today that I was unaware of, but and so I'm constantly learning and digging in that. I think it's a little bit more difficult to do that if you try to start on 5 different platforms at once. And what I believe is what happens is you end up putting 20% effort across 5 different platforms, which makes it very difficult to really truly understand and master one platform. So you have to think about what's the platform that's the best fit for you. What do you like? Where do you spend the most of your time? Or which one do you think you could really grasp the concept of it? And it was funny is because Instagram was brought up this morning, and what people are talking about, so many different things on Instagram. I mean, so many different changes. Like nobody really had a true answer about what works on Instagram. And that's what I find, I would say, frustrating on our end, because as I mentioned, my reach on my Instagram has gone way down, and you would think you would grow versus decline. Just like we grow on YouTube. I mean, I grow on YouTube every single day, and Instagram, it's like, no, not really. It was growing, and then everything's just kind of completely died off. And even now, like I'm not even the last week, not even hitting 1,000 views on Reels, whenever we've been in the 50s and the 40s and the 20s. And I say 50,000, 50,000 views on Reels, and 40,000 views and 20,000 views. And then now we're down to less than 1,000. I mean, we're going opposite of what we're doing. And so that is a little frustrating, but in the conversation today was all about, well, hashtags. Do hashtags work? Do people search hashtags? How many hashtags? Somebody said you need 30. Well, somebody said, no, you need 10. Somebody said, no, it's 3 to 5. And another person said, well, I just saw that hashtags don't matter at all whatsoever. And it's just like, what is it? What which one is it? But anyways, that's on a side note. The thing is, like, we're talking about live streams today. So what I was getting to that point was that I know a lot of people struggle with creating content in the first place. And they think, okay, where should I do that? Or do I have to create YouTube videos, but I also want to have presence on Instagram as well. So I want to create some videos from there and TikTok. And so, and we've talked about, well, if you create long form video on YouTube, it really opens up the opportunity to chop that up, and that can become short form content for those platforms. Now, on that note, that is something that you have to be mindful of. I do believe creating content, native content, and whenever I say native means, you're creating content for that specific platform. So whenever you're creating content natively, I believe that's always the best strategy. So instead of, you can chop up YouTube videos and publish them on Instagram and TikTok, like we've done that. But again, I would say we're not really focused on those platforms. So I haven't made a lot of videos where I'm like directly addressing the camera. It's usually chopped up out of all my other content or trainings and coachings and things like that, because that's easier. I mean, I've already got plenty on the plate right now. And so, but I know that's a necessary thing of what we're going to need to do if we want to grow or get better on Instagram. And I do think Instagram's an important platform. At least it is for me, as somebody who markets to real estate agents. And so that is where a lot of real estate agents are. People buying homes, I think they're more on YouTube. So that's where I market to people who are looking to buy and sell homes, is on YouTube. That's why I chose my personal platform on Instagram to, geared towards real estate agents. But the thing is that as I go down that road, if you're starting out and you do want that presence everywhere, then live streaming is something that could really get you, with just an hour a week, could get you everywhere that you need to be. So what does that mean? Well, right now, like I'm live streaming on YouTube and on Facebook, and I'm live here on Clubhouse. So think about all the different things that this 1 hour right now is going to accomplish for me. All right, so we'll break this down. Number one, as soon as I stop this broadcast, this live stream, that video will live on my YouTube channel. So if I was an agent and I wasn't sure about making content, even though, we detail all of that, how to do it, how to research it, how to figure it. I mean, we show you that roadmap, but at the same time, maybe you're struggling with, I just don't want to sit down in front of the camera and try to record a 10, 15-minute video. Well, hopefully you understand your market, you understand data, you understand trends, you understand where the market's going. And right now, the market is pretty much changing on a week-to-week basis, which means there's news, there's interest rates, there's reports of sales going up, sales going down, increased prices, price drops, all types of things. And depending on your market, there's just a lot happening. And we've talked about this before as well. If you haven't already, you should go to Google Alerts and just Google Alerts, and you should set up an alert for yourself. Like I have Dallas, Texas real estate as an alert. And what happens is that every single day at the same time, Google emails me basically 3 to 4 articles about Dallas, Texas real estate. So that gives me 3 to 4 articles that I can read every single day and be up to speed on everything that's happening in the Dallas market. So you compile that over a week. Let's say you get 3 every single day. That's 21 articles. Well, maybe you narrow that down to 5 or 6 articles that you want to highlight. And think about this in news radio or talk radio or these types of formats where that's basically what they're doing. It's a little combination of opinion as well as news content. So this is where you take that, you break it down, and maybe if you can just curate that information and make it digestible to the end consumer or your possible next client, then you can knock out a lot of content in 1 hour per week. So for example, if you set out at least a format and you say, okay, well, look, I've got 6 articles from the last week that I want to discuss. Then out of 21, which that shouldn't be that difficult to do. So I got 6 articles. Well, I'm going to talk for 5 to 10 minutes on each article, or maybe I'm going to discuss 4 articles. I'm going to spend a 10-minute segment on the new market reports, the trends, or MLS data, or something like that. Solds, new to market, anything like that. So from there you say, okay, I'm going to have 4 or 5 articles I'm going to discuss, plus an update on all the MLS data that's going out. So now I have an outline, and I'm ready to talk about this over the 60-minute period. And you got to, and I'm going to freestyle that. So the thing is that this is where you will have to be good, and this will take practice. You will have to be comfortable with kind of freestyling this and talking through that information. But you have to just think about it as if you were, running a newscast or a broadcast or something like that, where you're just kind of reading through some things and then you're giving your opinion. The articles can be your crutch as far as, okay, here's the headline. I read through, I highlighted a couple of things. Now let me give you my opinion. I promise if you take one article, you could talk about it for probably at least 10 minutes just by reading the headline, reading the things that you highlighted, and then giving your opinion on that. And you do that for four different segments, 4 different articles, and then you get into MLS data or things that are happening, and you live stream that. Now, if you live stream that right now on like what I'm doing through YouTube and through Facebook, and if you haven't created a private Facebook group, for your city, then that's something you should consider as well. Because a lot of people, I know a lot of people that convert business through Facebook groups. So now I'm taking this one recording. Well, as soon as I end this broadcast, what's going to happen is that this automatically uploads onto YouTube. I don't have to worry about editing. I don't have to worry about structure. I don't have to worry about any of that. It's done. It's a live stream. So people understand that you're not going to have a bunch of fancy editing. You're not going to have graphics, things like that. Now, you'll have to keep their attention. So you could do screen shares and things like that if you want to show them the articles. Or maybe you bring on another agent. Maybe you have a business partner or an agent on your team or somebody that can also discuss that with you. Maybe you kind of go back and forth would be an easy way to do that. So now, once I end the broadcast, that's going to be uploaded onto YouTube. Once it's uploaded onto YouTube, it's done from that point, and it's going to be in my Facebook group. So now that's in the Facebook group that I've created for my market, I could be like, I could have Living in Dallas, Texas Facebook group, and so it's uploaded there. I'm reaching that audience. I'm reaching the audience on YouTube. I could also host this on Clubhouse live at the same time, which is what I'm doing right now. So this is a prime example of how you do this. So then I'm covering Clubhouse, and you'd be surprised. I know people that host rooms about their city or their area on Clubhouse, and they do get business from it. They do meet people. So then you're covering Clubhouse as well. Well, from there, just like what we do from here, what we will do is we will download the audio from this, which you can do that from YouTube. You can do that from Clubhouse. You could even do that from Facebook. But once it's recorded, download the audio. And now you could have a podcast about your city, so I could have the Living in Dallas, Texas podcast ready to go. Well, now I've got a podcast from that. Then if you're using something like StreamYard, StreamYard now is, records everything on the video and the audio, especially if you have 2 different users. Let's say if like Chrissy and I were having a discussion, which we do this on our consortia live streams, is even though there may be 3 or 4 of us on the live stream, it records everybody individually. And so what we're able to do is like when we have Teresa and Sheila on there, whenever Teresa speaks, her portion is getting recorded separately. Whenever Sheila speaks, her portion is getting recorded separately. Even though it looks like, or actually we all are on the screen at the same time, StreamYard is capturing that. So guess what we can do from there? Somebody can go in now. Now this is where you would need an editor, because I wouldn't really recommend you do this yourself because it'd be too time consuming. But now you can go in there and chop up that entire hour's worth of content. Well, if you broke each segment out into 10 minutes, guess what? You now have 6 10-minute videos that you could break out. So if you cover a particular article, a subject, MLS data, things going on in your market, then you have 6 10-minute videos that you could break out, and you could literally publish a video per day on your YouTube channel. Because the live stream would count for 1 day, and then you have those 6 other videos to publish 1 day a week. And you could do that. You could have content go out every day. Then what you could do is you could download or take the embed link from YouTube for that live stream and embed that into an email and email that out to your database. So now you're covering people with an email. And then now that you have that on top of it, now you can have somebody go in and start cutting out 15, 30, 45, and 60-second clips. And from an hour-long video, you could easily pull out 20, maybe 30 different clips. And now you could have almost a month's worth or close to a month's worth of content for Instagram and TikTok or LinkedIn to publish their short form content as you have those clips ready to go. So all of that, if you really feel like you're completely strapped for time and you don't know how you're going to cover ground across all platforms, in my opinion, live streaming is one of the easiest ways to do that. And you just covered long form content on YouTube, posting in your Facebook group, post live content on Clubhouse, downloading the audio for a podcast. You have other videos you could clip out for long form content on YouTube. And now you have the content that you could clip into short form content and have everything that you need. So I think that's one of the easiest ways right there that you can get started and capture and be everywhere at one time, which again, not something I recommend. And again, what I also say is that, again, creating content, like creating specific content for Instagram, I think is always going to be the easiest. Now, what you can do, this gives you the baseline. So this now allows you, if you want to create specific content for Instagram, it'll be a little bit more manageable as well, I think. And you won't be so stressed or concerned about, I need to create 30 different videos. Well, maybe I create 10 videos per month where I'm directly talking to the camera, and the other 20 videos, if you want to publish once per day, the other 20 videos are cut out from your live streams, So you think about this. This is kind of a concept that Joe Rogan does this too, right? Like Joe Rogan has Joe Rogan clips. And that was even part of his deal with Spotify. He signed that deal with Spotify. And of course, they did not want him publishing his content to YouTube. However, he negotiated that he still is allowed to publish clips. So typically his podcasts are 2 to 3 hours, but they will take out 10 to 15 minute, usually 9. I usually see mostly 9. So let's just say anywhere from 9 to 12 minutes sections out of his podcast, and he'll publish that onto YouTube. And that's going to drive more people there. It's going to capture them. And of course, if they want the full story, their full interview, they're going to have to go to Spotify to be able to get that information. But ultimately, that's how you can repurpose content. Live streaming right now is very simple to do with your YouTube channel. You do have to apply, and I say apply with quotation marks because it takes 24 hours. You just have to submit that you want to start live streaming, and they usually grant access to that within 24 hours. And it's very simple to go from there. You set up a simple software like StreamYard, very easy to do. And that way you can stream into different places all at once and have all of that ready to go. So that's a pretty simple way. But on top of that, doing that live stream once per week on your YouTube channel, that allows you real-time access and feedback to your audience. And it's something that YouTube is really in favor of right now as well. So they might push that out, especially in the beginning. As you're starting to build your channel, if you can include a live stream once per week. I mean, I'm still always going to recommend creating specific content for your YouTube channel versus just relying on chopping up a live stream. Because again, if you create specific long form content for your YouTube channel, it's going to give you a much better return than just, chopping up the live stream. But the live stream, again, now a lot of people look at the live stream and they'll say, oh man, that's an hour video. So you're going to struggle with things like retention, which is why you want to chop it up and do smaller increments. At the same time, anybody that watches that for an hour, that's going to be a seriously dialed in client. I mean, that's going to be somebody that's going to have a full-on relationship with you probably after one episode, and they're probably going to come back. If they listen to a whole hour of you on a live stream or a podcast, then they're likely going to come back. They're going to have a very good relationship with you just from what what they've heard. And so it's it's something that long form really develops that relationship. It really gets these people locked in on everything that you're doing. So, it's very important, I think, to still create that content. So the live stream should be a supplement to your long form content. So if you're able to do 1 or 2 videos, or you're struggling with, I only want to do 1 video per week right now, at least add a live stream to that and make that part of your weekly routine. I mean, find an hour that you could just lock that in every single week, and it's not going to be a problem. And just, stick with it. Eventually it's going to become a habit. It's going to become part of your routine, and it'll be a lot easier as you progress and get down the road, just like anything does. Anything gets a lot easier as you stay consistent at it, going to the gym, maintaining a diet, recording videos. All of that, writing contracts. It just gets easier and easier the more you do it, the more repetitions, right? It's like people that go through 75 hard, which I have not, by the way, but I've talked to a lot of people that do that, and it sucks the first 10, 20, 30 days. And then they hit that routine, and then usually they're like, well, shoot, I'm going to do a second one now. I'm going to do another one back to back, or I'm just going to keep going. I know one guy, I've got a friend that did 75 hard once, and then he just kept going with it. So became, I think he finally stopped after like a year and a half, but was just got into that routine, liked the results, liked what he was seeing on the returns. And that's the thing with video content. Keep producing that content and stay regular on that. And also, by the way, of course, this is when the lawn crew wants to come by. I'm not sure if that's if you're hearing any of that background, but the lawn crew is at the house right now, and somehow they pick 10:30 on Tuesdays is whenever they'd like to come, and they're pretty good about being on time. So anyways, maybe I should get them to change that up. But the thing is that where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. And you can figure this out and walk through this and make this a part of your strategy, that it can be of benefit to you and can allow you to diversify across different platforms and have the opportunity here. And this is exactly what we're doing here. I'm live on Clubhouse, live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and we'll download the audio for this. This becomes the podcast, later within, usually 1 to 2 or 3 weeks, depending on if we're backed up or not. Then this comes out on the podcast, because a lot of people, if they don't have the opportunity to attend live, guess where they're going to catch us? They're going to catch us on the podcast, or they're going to go back and watch a live stream. But again, sometimes it's easier, especially for agents who are out and about in their cars a lot of the days as well. A podcast is a simple outlet for them to plug into, and they'll burn through that hour very quickly, just driving in between showings or meeting clients or, looking at houses or checking out neighborhoods. So that's an opportunity there to capture that. So let me see, Chrissy, anything you want to add in there as far as the live streaming goes?
No, I think it's really awesome, that we can use the live streams for content of all different types. And I think that's just kind of the mindset you have to think of, is anytime you're creating any piece of content, how can it also apply to some other category or some other type of a part of your business? I feel like if you're not coming up with at least 2 or 3 different types of content from one type of content that you're creating, you probably need to restructure it a little bit, because there's really no reason why you can't use it in multiple places. And I think that's what it comes down to. A lot of times it's not about doing more. It's about being able to find different applications for the same type of content. And that's really where that duplication effect kind of takes place.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm getting some comments on here from the Facebook group, and by the way, if you're on YouTube or the Facebook group, feel free to comment or ask any questions that you have. And if you're here on Clubhouse, what's up, Mark? Mark says, great advice. Segments are the way to go, and remember to talk to the viewer or listener. Yes, absolutely. So on that note, Mark's 100% right. And if you notice, if you're watching on YouTube or we're in the Facebook group right now, I've been talking to the camera, even though I've got Clubhouse off to the side here. I've got, things going on my computer here. I'm still looking at that camera because I know if I want this to be used elsewhere, I shouldn't be looking down at myself. I shouldn't be looking over here, be distracted. Whenever I speak, I'm having that discussion with the camera, looking straight on. And so that way I know this can get repurposed and reused for content elsewhere. So let's see. A Facebook user says, Grant Cardone says Instagram will be gone. I haven't heard that. Have you heard that, Chrissy? Is Instagram going to be gone?
No, I've not heard of that.
I mean, I've heard of TikTok.
Meta is fighting pretty hard to get rid of TikTok. So that might be where the confusion is. But if anything, Meta is going to become stronger, and Meta owns Instagram and Facebook.
They're blowing right outside my door. So yeah, maybe it means TikTok, because that is in a bill. I mean, Congress is looking. And it's funny, on my discussion this morning with some other agents, there's an agent in there, Taylor, and he's a wise man. He's a very wise man. But he said, he mentioned like attention. Attention is the biggest commodity right now. It's the currency is what he referred to it as. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that. They're blowing literally like right at my door. I mean,
it's ambiance.
Yeah. Little background noise. Nice. I wonder next Tuesday if that's going to happen again. We'll see. So attention is the new currency. And what he's saying that Congress doesn't like about that is that TikTok is drawing a lot of people's attention. And guess what? Guess where that money's going? It's not an American-based company. It's not American. It's not benefiting Americans. And now that with all the allegations and everything, as far as that it's spying and taking our information, but in the meantime, it's funneling all that money, whatever earnings that they do have is going straight out of this country, and it's drawing that attention. So therefore there's a vested interest in Congress that they don't want to divert that attention. They want it to stay here. And now you say Meta, are they lobbying as well? Are they working on that? I hadn't heard that they're lobbying or.
Yes. Yeah, they're lobbying with Congress to try and get that shut down. So yeah, there's definitely some stuff going on there. But if anything, Meta is going to be stronger. TikTok is definitely on the chopping block right now.
Yeah, for sure. So I believe that's what they're talking about. Let me see. Living in Denver says, any advice to avoid technical errors? Thinking I'm sharing my screen when I'm not. Thanks. Yeah. Well, I mean, that just comes with practice, living in Denver. Oh, Angel. He said, thanks, Angel. All right. Love it. See, people are starting to include their names now. Love it. Angel. So that's the thing. Yeah. I mean, it's trust me, I've had my fair share of technical errors. I've recorded entire segments, everything. I've done no audio, haven't recorded sessions. I mean, it's happened. And I think it's pretty good. I mean, when you share screen, you just have to be mindful of that. If you're using something like StreamYard, it's a little interesting. If you've got somebody on there with you, you can always ask them to check. If you're doing some sort of training, I mean, if you have people in the comments, you can always ask, hey, can you see let me know you can see my screen. So that's the advantage of doing something live, is that you should have some interaction, and you should have, or, even if you're by yourself, you should have some audience reaction or interaction to where you could simply just ask that question. So I would just refer to them as support. And people like that. People like to help out and support. It gets them engaged, gets engagement going on sooner rather than later. So you pop up the first article and you say, hey, let me know if you can see my screen out there, give me a thumbs up or a yes or a 1 or something like that. And you see those responses come in, and then you're kind of like, yep, okay, good. I'm good to go. And then that'll give you the confidence you need to go forward from there. But yeah, otherwise, sometimes running like that on your own is can be interesting, right? So I've done several times where I've recorded, didn't hit record on a screen share. If I recorded something, if I recorded something else, then separately, that you have to be very mindful of because if I record now to do screen grabs on my own, especially for like map tours, I'll record on 2 different formats. So I'll record my screen separately and my camera separately. You don't have to do that. You could easily do it on Zoom or Loom or something like that and record at once. But I just like, the quality of my main camera and what I'm working on there. And so therefore I will, record separately, and it just allows us different editing options as well. But I have to be very mindful of what I'm doing. Just like coming in here to live stream, I had to set this up. I had to make sure that I have the right background. I have the recordings on as well. That's the thing is in StreamYard, you have to start the live recording, or you have to do the recording. You have to click on that button. So, just those little checks and balances, almost kind of like, flying an airplane, right? You got your little checklist sometimes. So if you want to develop a checklist, that's a great way to do that if you're forgetful or not in the habit of doing those types of things. But my checklist usually come from mistakes I've made. Whoops, forgot to do that. Oh, didn't do that. Let's add that to the checklist. And that should keep you locked in. So let's see here. Clara, can I ask a question? Yes, Clara, but I think Clara left. So anyways, just another idea, concept. Let me see. Facebook user, I can't see who that is, says, "Hey dude, long time no see." So not sure who you are, and I can't see you. So that's one way. All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions or anything of that nature, then hey, I'm happy to jump. I've got plenty to do. So I will give it one last call for any questions, comments, advice. But otherwise, I think I pretty much covered. I mean, life, it shouldn't be that complicated, shouldn't be that complicated. It's just one of those things where you have to give it a try. I mean, when I live streamed the first time, I'd never done it before. So, just like anytime you start something, you've likely never done that before. So guess what? It's always going to be a little awkward, or you're going to have to figure out some things. Debbie. What's up, Debbie? What's up, Debbie? Debbie was my real estate agent back in Louisiana back in the day, if that's the right Debbie that I'm thinking of. Andrew Michael just says yes. I guess he has a question. Says, give me 1 second to type. Better type fast. Is everyone always coming in here at the last second? So going once, going twice. I'll give Andrew 1 more minute there. But otherwise, yep, you just have to give it a try. So, but most of the homes. All right, here we go. So Andrew says most of the homes on my channel are listed between 5 to 800,000. Would it be okay to add a luxury playlist of about 10 videos over 1.5 million? Will this confuse my audience or cause people to not follow my channel? I don't think so at all. We published the first listing video property tour that we did was 3.4 million. We posted that on our channel. It blew up. I mean, it literally blew up. I got 30,000 views in the first, actually got 17,000 views in one day. So that was a lot. We haven't seen that before that, and we haven't seen that since then. So despite what we've done, haven't really been able to duplicate that, which that was one of those things where YouTube decided to push that out, and they pushed it out. And once that, this really goes into the fact of why I like to build everything off of search, because it's great. Hey, YouTube pushes that out and it gets 17,000 views in one day. Awesome. Love it. But it went right back down the next day. Now it still got 30,000 views over that first month, which is great. I think now it's at 75,000 views. But actually, let me go in and check real quick on the, let's see what the main driver is to that video. And if you're on the live stream, I'll share my screen here. So let's go present, share screen, window. There's me. All right. So if I post back up in here, so now it's our number 2 video. Yeah, right at 70, almost 70,000 views. So if I click on the analytics, and you can see here on the analytics, this huge jump and spike. And now it's just had nice and steady growth. But now look at this. Number 1 driver is YouTube search. So 35%. And let me see. Reach. Let's see. This video has gotten us 5.8 thousand watch hours, 383 subscribers. But YouTube search, browse, it's still getting 30% traffic coming from browse and 25% from suggested. So that's still 55% from browsing suggested. That's pretty good. Let me see overall. Yeah, well, still the overall. So that search is the most recent. It's backed up on search. So that's the point. If I look at the overall reach, yeah, 63% and another 16%. So that's 80% has come from browse and suggested, which is great. So YouTube search actually, well, of the overall views right now is only 3.9% of the total views out of 70,000 is YouTube search. But as of recently, search is what's really keeping this going. But if you can combine browse and suggested, then that's still one of the bigger drivers there. So, but the search is really keeping it going, and that's, I think that's the same. Let's see on this one, about to have our first 100,000 viewed video. Yeah, this one still gets browse for the number 1 video, but YouTube search is the number 1 driver of this overall. It's about to break 100,000 views, 36% from YouTube. But if you combine browse and suggested, that's another, that's almost 60% right there. But YouTube search is still really driving this one. And if people search, let's see what they're searching. Moving to Dallas. Should I move to Dallas? Move to Dallas, Texas. That's what's popping up whenever they type that in. So anyways, let's see. All right. So no, Andrew, I wouldn't worry about that. I would post the property tours on there. If you've got 10 properties to film that are over $1.5 million, I would absolutely include that on the channel. That might get you some good traction in the beginning there. So let's see, Massachusetts living. Okay, now all the questions come in, Chrissy. Since we threatened with,
of course,
we have to threaten them. We got to threaten them with ending.
That's right.
Ending the show, right? Okay, so all right, we're gonna, and then here they come. All right, so where do you recommend starting videos after they are done recording? Google Drive or storing videos? Yeah, I mean that's fine. We do everything on Google Drive. So. Yep, Google Drive, I do that. Debbie, I assume this is Debbie again. She goes, I was just voted Realtor of the Year by North Shore. Yeah, North Shore. So North Shore is, if you ever look at Louisiana, so I used to live on the North Shore and in New Orleans. And there's a huge lake called Lake Pontchartrain that separates New Orleans from like the north suburbs. So they call New Orleans, they refer to that as the South Shore. And the North Shore is on the other side. Literally, you drive across like a 25-mile bridge across the water. I think it's the longest. It was the longest until recently. I think China built one now or something, but was the longest bridge over a body of water in the world, or at least the U.S., something like that. Not sure on the correct stats on that. But that bridge was about 25 miles because if you look at Lake Pontchartrain, it's just like a big circle. And right there. And so And that's the problem with New Orleans, right? So New Orleans has the lake. It's directly has the lake directly to the north of it, and then it has the Mississippi River that cuts through it, and then it has the Gulf of Mexico on the south side. So it's like Gulf of Mexico feeds into the Mississippi River, and then that goes off, and then you got Lake Pontchartrain. So and plus it's kind of like below sea level. So that's the problem with New Orleans. It's completely surrounded by water in like what they call it the fishbowl, actually. So that's why it's always flooding every time it rains, anything. And that's what happened during Katrina, is that when the hurricane moved past, it like pulled, as the hurricane moved north across Lake Pontchartrain, that's what really damaged that whole side of it, is that it pulled the waters of the Lake Pontchartrain like north, and then they just came, whenever the storm moved past that, it kind of like filled back in, and the water came back and just crashed and broke those levees, and that's why a lot of that stuff flooded there. So anyways, a little brief history lesson there on New Orleans. But anyways, so looks like Debbie got Realtor of the Year. Anyways, but that's whenever I was buying several rental properties in that area. Debbie was my agent there. Super cool. And she got Realtor of the Year. Awesome. And has 34 agents. Wow. They're growing a big team. Debbie, we got to get you over to EXP. Let's see if she comments on that one. Let's see. Oh, what's up, Zael? How's it going? Good to see you. Let's see. What's up, Steve? Steve says YouTube definitely works. I've been getting a few leads, and they are asking if I would take them as a client. I'm like, let me check my schedule. Yeah, exactly. I love that. So again, Steve says, yep. Would you take me as a client? And we used to get that all the time. People say, hey, do you have time to work with us? So let's see. Zao says, thank you. Yep. What are some... Mr. Malcolm, how do you ensure that your videos are engaging and keep viewers' attention? I mean, B-roll, jump cuts, transitions, all of that. So it's just, there's frame changes. I really started to recognize this whenever I would watch some shows like you watch $1 Million Listing, you watch Selling Sunset. I don't like to admit that, but I watched it for the fact that I wanted to watch a real estate show, see how they filmed it. Now they have like 8 or 10 different cameras. If you ever notice, you watch one of those shows, especially Sunset, because Sunset's like more like drama, right? I like $1 Million Listing. $1 Million Listing has really kind of shied away from the drama. I think there are a lot of drama in the beginning, then they kind of, normalized a little bit. Now there's a little bit of drama in there, but I just watched this last season of $1 Million Listing LA. And like they're all friends now, except they had to have a lot of drama at the end. So when they're friends now, a little bit less drama. But you watch that, they have like 10 different camera angles. And so it's always like cutting. And I counted this. Literally, I remember watching like a episode of Sunset, and I was like counting. That's why I was counting the frame changes. And they were happening almost every 2 to 3 seconds. I almost couldn't even count. It was like 1,000, 2, frame change, 1,000, 2, frame change. Whenever I say frame change, that means angle. It means they're switching from, looking at different people's faces. Even if somebody's talking, they're switching to somebody's facial expression. It's like, it's a lot. I'm not recommending that for what we do, but you want to think about that sort of thing. So adding in B-roll, adding in, editors can easily zoom in, zoom out. If you ever notice that or watch that on my videos, you'll see the frame kind of zoom in, kind of zooms out, some B-roll come in, text, transitions, just all kinds of things. Even now, like now filming from the waist up, you see I've got my hands in here now. So I think that's something else that's very important, is having hand gestures in there, because hand gestures, we're visual creatures, right? Visual creatures, 70%, is that what they say? 70% of communication is nonverbal. So now that I have my hands in here, I can talk with my hands a little bit, just kind of changes things up a little bit, right? So I would also recommend like filming from the waist up. So that's it. I mean, and then also be interesting. Yes, be interesting. So that definitely helps out. You need to be you, be you times two, on video. So sometimes they say the camera adds 10 pounds, but it also sucks away like 50% of your energy. So you have to be a little bit, I would say speak a little bit more boldly, have your head up, more eye contact. You could be a little bit more animated. And I'm not saying be this character or be somebody you're not, but you just want to be a little bit, you want to step it up just a notch, because the camera does, I think, draw off or take down some energy as well. So, it's just something to keep in mind. So that's what I would recommend there. So Mr. Malcolm also asked, what are some emerging trends in video marketing that we should be aware of? Emerging trends. Well, let's see. Trends are interesting because they can get you views, and but my only goal was to make the phone ring. So I'm not necessarily looking for trends. I'm looking for evergreen content. But, just kind of like what we talked about at the beginning of this, if you want to talk about trends in your marketplace, I think in real estate, we're really educational based. We're information based. So if you want to stay on top of trends in your city or your area, and as in regards to the real estate market, those would be the things I would talk about on a week-to-week basis. But, doing anything catchy, I don't know, trending music, that's just doesn't, I don't think that really applies to what we do. It doesn't apply to YouTube. I mean, you're not going to add trending audio on YouTube and it's going to get pushed out like it may on Facebook or Instagram. So, as far as that goes, I'm not really aware of trending video topics in regards to real estate space. I mean, I can't say that, this 5 things to know about an FHA loan is like the trending thing right now. That's very difficult to determine. I do know that everything that we're doing is working well right now, and it's still producing results, but we're also building that out for evergreen, just kind of like that video. Even though it was a listing video for 3.8 million, it's still relevant. You could go and watch that video today. It's still going to be a relevant video. It's still going to be an evergreen video. And that's why it's still doing well. People are always going to be interested in viewing or seeing the inside of $1 million properties. I think that's a trend that will likely not go away. Now you look at some of these other guys like Eric Conover or Inez, can't say his last name, but or Ryan Serhant. I mean, they're touring $50, $100, $150 million homes. Okay, that's a lot. If you can get access to that, hey, go for it. Ryan Serhant wrote that in the foreword of our book, Passive Prospecting, that he had never listed or been associated with a 9-figure listing. That literally means over $100 million. And his first one that he filmed was that, I think the $280 million, well, let me just look it up. The $280 million property. I believe that's the exact price in Colorado. So yeah, $280 million. He filmed that. That wasn't his listing. And he had never put a 9-figure property on his channel before. But he did that. And guess what? Some kid in the Middle East who his dad is a billionaire, watched that video and then showed his dad that video. And then his dad was like, hey, I've got an apartment in New York that I want you to list for $170 million. And now all of a sudden, now Ryan, I think, has sold 2 or 3 9-figure properties because he put that, he filmed that content and put it on his YouTube video. And that's exactly what he talked about in the foreword of our book, Passive Prospecting, is how, creating future you, being the person that if you're not that person right now, you can be. So if you want to be associated with $1 million listings, go out and film $1 million listings. They don't have to be yours. And people watching that, what I say, if I get a listing, so it's funny is we got this listing to film. It was 3.6 million. it was funny. The builder invited me. There was a custom built home stage, beautiful. It actually went out on our channel like a week or two ago. 3.6 million in Preston Hollow, and we were there filming it. We had the property blocked out for 2 hours. Invited there by the builder, where the listing agent sent somebody over to view the property. Sent another agent in the middle of when we had it blocked off, and to show the property, like interrupting us. Now the thing is that my ego really wanted to, stomp my feet and tell them, no, we had this place booked out. But at the same time, I don't want to get in the way of the builder possibly getting a $3.6 million buyer. But luckily for us, we were done filming mostly. We just had to do some B-roll. So we were there about an hour and a half, got everything done. And this agent comes in, doesn't even introduce himself, doesn't even stop, like literally just walks in the property, blows right by us. He's like, oh, I was like, oh, hey. And then I looked at the sign out front, and it had this guy's name on it. We'll just say Justin, for example. And I was like, oh, are you the listing agent, Justin, or something? He goes, no, I'm not the listing agent. He goes, but I just talked to him, and he doesn't want anybody filming here. And he said, you guys can F off. I mean, but he said the whole word. and literally that was my first time meeting this person. He didn't even introduce himself, just walked right in and started walking around, started making himself at home, and then told me to F off. And I was like, oh, interesting. I said, we've actually got the property blocked off for from 10 to 12. And we were invited here by the owner and the builder, and all of a sudden their tune changed at that point. And I had every right to continue on, but I still said, you know what? Because then the buyer showed up, and he went outside and had them standing outside. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to let them come in. And so I just said, hey, if you guys want to come in and check out the property, go ahead. We're just going to finish up some B-roll, which doesn't need me in there. Doesn't matter if they're talking or anything. We're just going to get shots of the property. And that was it, but I'm glad in the beginning, the thing is the listing agent did not invite me there. The builder did. So, at the beginning of the video, what I said is that we want to bring you this exclusive listing brought to you by the Living in Dallas, Texas team. So I said brought to you by, not listed by. And now if the listing agent would have invited us there, or if you contact a listing agent and they say, hey, yeah, you can come film our property, then do it, and you should give that listing agent some credit. That would be the nice thing to do. Say, hey, we're here to feature this amazing property listed by Levi Lascsak. That would be the cool thing to do. But again, they didn't invite us there. So I just said, we're going to show you this exclusive listing brought to you by the Living in Dallas, Texas team. And it is brought to them by it because we're doing the content. We're doing the filming. Now, the thing is that we're not saying that's being listed by us, but any potential buyer that watches that video, or anybody that watches that video, period, will likely assume that, that's our listing. And so we're associating ourselves with that property and the way that goes. So just something to do that. And if you don't have your own listings, if you're starting out, you don't have your own listings, custom home builders, model homes, or just calling listing agents, and probably starting with listing agents in your own brokerage would be an option for you there to do that. Okay, Debbie says, I own my own brokerage team, Go Realty. Yeah, awesome. That's okay. It's all right, Debbie. We can still get you over. No problem. Let's see. How do you manage your timeline for production and launch of the video content? How do you manage your timeline for the production and launch of video content? We use Trello. I guess would be the easy answer to that. Yeah, we just use Trello. So we have our editors, the content manager and editors all are tied into Trello, and I upload the content in there. I just move a Google Drive link in there. They get tagged on it. they move it over that they're starting to work on it, and then they move it over to get reviewed, and then it gets moved over to get reviewed by me. Then once I review that, it gets moved to ready to publish. Once it gets published, it moves to ready to optimize. Once it gets optimized, it gets moved to ready to publish. And then once it's published, it moves to complete. So we just follow that whole process and timeline through Trello. Let's see, living in Allington, Pennsylvania. Can we film that kind of properties? Do we get permission from an agent? Yeah, I think I just answered that. So yeah, I mean, I don't just go in and just film properties. That's for sure. I always have permission. If I film the inside of a home, if I'm going to film the inside of the home, I'm always going to have permission to do that for sure. I don't just go out there and start filming random, properties, and don't block off. I don't know. I know some agents that do this. They will go view a home as if they're viewing it with the client, but they're not, and they just go and film content there. I don't agree with that. I just think that that's not right to do that. Now, I think the way you want to do that, the easiest way to do this is you could ask somebody to do an open house or do an open house for a listing agent. Hey, I'd love to do an open house on your property. Okay, cool. Hey, while I'm there, do you mind if I do some video content? They're probably going to say, yeah, sure, no problem. Then, you're there at an open house for a couple of hours. Now, if you run the open house correctly, you should be too busy to film content while you're there. But you could also ask them, hey, can I stay like an hour afterwards or half an hour afterwards to do some additional content? And then you could do like reels. You could do reels in the kitchen, in the living room, outside the house. You could do 2 or 3 reels in the kitchen, 2 or 3 reels in the bedroom, 2 or 3 reels in the living room, 2 or 3 reels in the backyard. If it's all like good backgrounds, I mean, this is the type of thing you could do a reel on the house, but if you get permission, but that would be one of the easiest ways to do that. And if you have an open house that is not that busy, you could do that while you're in between clients. But if you run the open house correctly, then you should be busy the whole time. But I would always get permission from an agent to film a property. Now, when I'm walking around neighborhoods, I'm walking down a street, and that's all public street, public fairway, public. I'm not disclosing addresses or street names or things like that. I usually don't even talk about the neighborhoods. So, all right. Mr. Malcolm says, thank you for creating such an interesting book that's easy to follow and implement properties. Yeah, you're welcome. Oh, follow and implement. Yeah, that's right. I know people type fast in here. Okay, so that gets us to the end there of our comments. Thank you for jumping in there last minute, everyone. So hopefully that helped out. And Chrissy, anything you want to add?
No, great questions today. It's always nice to get, a lot of interaction in these rooms. So, I thought they were great questions. And again, when it comes down to, your content and bulk producing your content, it really just comes down to making a habit out of it. And also just, again, going back to what I said earlier, just trying to find multiple applications for it. And that's really where you can kind of duplicate your time, compound your time. It's not about doing more. It's about finding more applications for it.
There you go. And if you haven't already, pick up your copy of Passive Prospecting. Dominate your market without cold calling, chasing clients, or spending money on ads. The Amazon #1 bestseller in 3 different categories. I believe 4, but I wasn't able to screenshot the last one, but that's okay. We'll take 3. Been a huge success. We've already outperformed 90% of all nonfiction books, which was pretty cool. I heard another stat today that 99% of podcasts do not make it past 20 episodes. So that's pretty cool. You know any stats on that, Chrissy?
Sorry, say that again.
90% of podcasts don't make it past 20 episodes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've heard something similar to that. So
and I'm
podcasts usually fail faster than they produce content.
Well, they don't really fail. It's just that people stop producing content, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I don't know, we're on episode 60 now, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's and we do 1 a week. So I guess we've been doing this for just over a year now.
Yep.
And the thing is that I'm just doing it. I don't know. I'm basing it off of success, that it's just content out there. I don't know. The thing, we're just doing it. I mean, I'm not saying, well, shoot, I didn't get any views or watch or viewership or listens or downloads, so I'm going to quit. But I think if you're not truly interested in your topic, or, you struggle with that, maybe it is hard to continue that. But I don't think podcasts really fail. It's just people stop doing them, because just like anything else, they'll likely grow significantly over time.
Yeah, that plus they don't optimize them well. And when you don't optimize them well, nobody finds them. And that's why you're getting 2 views per episode. And I think that's where a lot of people get discouraged, is that they're not findable. And if you're not findable, no one, your podcast isn't going to grow. So I can see how a lot of people, they just kind of give up before they have a chance to really optimize and get it out there for the people to see.
Oh, so you're saying this optimization we talk about with YouTube all the time also works for podcasts, which is really a search platform as well?
Oh, yeah. Same strategy. I mean, it's a little bit different. Every platform's a little bit different on how you want to optimize it. But ultimately, if you're doing your keyword research, your stuff is going to get found.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. And we will see you next week. And be sure to pick up your copy of Passive Prospecting, the book, on Amazon, or you can go to passiveprospecting.com, where you have access to a lot of our resources and options. So thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next week.